Okay, so when it comes to being an artist, there's always this concept of money, right? And there's different ways to make it. I'll probably do another video about that in a second. But one of the ways that often happens is you're going to apply for funding, for example, you're going to have ticket sales, etc. One of the things that people don't often think about is the idea of investors. Now, investors, you would usually invest in a product or service or a company or business model, which will give them a lot of leverage or return over time. And one of the things I've realized is we as artists can produce vehicles of business models which will be interesting to investors if we think about these 10 things that investors look at when they're looking to invest. So here they are. Number one is past performance. What is your trend? How many people have you performed in front of? What have been the the reviews that have happened so far? What have you been, how much money have you made consistently over time? What has been your revenue, your churn rate, is in like, how much has decreased or increased over time. Okay. So it's good to have that as a number. Number two is, what is your business plan? So having a physical document, and it doesn't need to be extensive. It doesn't need to be 100 pages. It can be a one pager. But what I suggest is having a business plan, which is a one pager as a PDF on your phone. So if you meet someone who is interested in what you do as an artist, you can send them to that by WhatsApp straight away. And that can be something that you can do as well. And that is even more valuable than a business card, for example, because if you have your contact details at the bottom, then it shows them what you do and how it makes money and how it will make them money if they invest in you. But two, it'll give them contact details so they can get in touch with you. And three, if they know anyone else who will be involved, who will be interested, they will probably be able to connect you with those people as well. So the third thing is a unique idea. Unique is a bit of a strong word because the more time goes, the more difficult it is to find a unique idea. Sometimes it's just a better idea. So if you're an artist, for example, if you're an actor, acting isn't a unique idea, but how you act, your style, your method of communicating your thoughts and your persona through a screen might be something that is unique to you that someone else would want to invest in. If you think about your TV screens or your movie screens, for example, every actor is completely different. And so you can probably change the faces and you can look at the mannerisms and the voice, etc. And you'll be able to guess who that actor is because they've got such a distinct characteristic about them. And this can be the same with music, it can be the same with dance, it can be the same with your writing style, things like that, right? It's being unique. The next one is the market size. How many people in the world are going to be interested in what you do? And so, for example, if you're looking at if I'm a dancer, I'm not just looking at the people who might come to my classes. It's also the people who come to shows. And one of the things to remember is, in terms of tourism, I think it's 50% of UK tourism for industry is through the arts. So that's museums, it's through theatres and things like that. So people coming from around the world to get involved in our arts and culture. And we are involved in that as artists. So we create that bedrock of foundation. So as an investor, I will be interested in what kind of products and services are you putting out and who. And that will give me an idea of who your market size is. If I'm having a class in Pineapple, most of the people there are from around the world. So it's a global market. Next one is a strong narrative. What do I stand for? Who am I according to all these people? Me, for example, as Andre, you might tell by the beads and the clothing and the plant over there, the yucca tree, is I'm really big into culture. A lot of the things where I do when it comes to my products and services as shows, for example, are really heavily around culture, but then also the talks I do, the festival I do in Sierra Leone, everything is centered around culture. So what is your narrative? What is the message that you want to give to the world? It's difficult if you're part of a global organization where you have to kind of feed into their own idea of narrative. That's why I suggest, even if you're part of a crew, for example, to make sure that you have your own thing going. You have something that you produce of your own, which tells people who you are as an individual, as opposed to part of a larger group. The next one is your background, your experiences. So for example, do you have a team? And the cumulative experience of you. So for example, me, if I've been dancing for like 20 years, that's my experience. What have I learned along that time? And being able to characterize that, list it. Some people might call it your CV, but ultimately it's trying to categorize that as something that's tangible. And what you often have is there will be a page of a pitch deck where you'd have a team. And that will be like, okay, I've got 6 people. We have all done this. But between us, we have X amount of years experience in this, which will give the investor more confidence and certainty that you'll be able to deliver, because together we'll create that package of experience that is almost a no-brainer. Like, you'll be, of course, I'm going to be investing this if we have this person who's done marketing, this person who's done the product and services, this person who's sold out all these shows already, this person who's done accounting, is so the money's going to be slick, right? All of that is put together. The next one is passion for solving customer problems. Like, do you care? Honestly, do you care about what your customers are going through? Do you even know? Have you ever thought to ask, like, why do people come to you? Like, what does what you do for them, right? So if, for example, one of the things, I was brought to tears by a song the other day. If I was to ever meet that artist, I would tell them that, listen, you helped me through a tough time in a way that therapy couldn't, right? You provided a release for me in a way that when you wrote your song, you spoke to me in a certain way that I haven't heard done before. And that changed my life. And it's important for us as artists to know what impact we're having for the people. So it's good to have a passion for that as well, for you to actually want to care and actually want to make a difference. The next one is business readiness. How ready are you to start a business right now? Have you ever done one before? And just because you haven't started a business before doesn't mean you're not ready. It's what have you thought of? What questions have you been asking? Who have you been around? Like, what books have you been reading? What classes have you been to? What courses have you taken? What is the knowledge that you have, and what are you even aware of the gaps of that you don't, right? Because what often happens is, if you're aware of the gaps, then you can find people who already know those gaps. So together, as the team I mentioned earlier, it brings credibility and confidence for the investor. The next one is a good reason to invest. Like, why should they invest in you? Like, what is the impact you're gonna have? What are you gonna do with that money? Like, if I have sweated, blooded, and cried to be able to create this wealth, and I have this 50 grand, and there's hundreds of people I could invest in, why you? Like, what are you gonna do with it? Like, that is something that's really important. And your reason might not be their reason. I've seen a lot of cases where, you know, me as an investor, I don't necessarily connect with what you're talking about until you say your pitch, and then it makes me understand why we need this thing. And so, okay, cool, I'll definitely invest in it, right? And the last one on here, number 10, is a clear investment structure. So what happens to the money once it leaves their hands? Where does it go to? What will that money be used for? How much of it will be used for marketing? How much will be used for research, development? How much is going to be, what tax bracket are we planning to be in? How much is going to be for investing in itself? You know, how much is going to be expected to get in return? How many tickets are we looking to sell? How many paintings? How many songs? How many countries is this going to be translated to? All those things are going to be part of having a clear investment structure. So just to recap, 10 things investors will look for you as a creative when you're pitching to them for your injection of money is: number 1, your past performance, your CV effectively, and the CV of your team. Number 2 is a business plan, a clear way that your idea will make money. Number 3 is a unique idea, and it might just be unique to you because you're you. There's no one else like you, and your perspective is like that. Number 4 is the market size. How many people are expected to be interested in this? And don't just take the whole market size. It's very unlikely that everybody is going to be on this thing. It's probably going to be 0.1%, but how much of that entire scale of that 0.1% would that mean to you, right? Number 5 is a strong narrative. Like, what's your message that you're doing with this thing? Number 6 is your background experience of your team, you and your team. Like, are there any gaps? Like, do you need to bring someone else onto the team? Number 7 is passion for solving problems for your customer. Do you care, right? Number 8 is your business readiness. Are you ready to start a business right now? Have you done one before? Do you know where your gaps are? Are you open to having a mentor? Those kind of things. Number 9 is having a good reason to invest. What are you going to do with that money? What is the impact it's going to have? And number 10 is having a clear investment structure. Once they give you the money, where is the money going to? They need a breakdown, right? Line by line items. I hope these questions are going to help. I know they definitely helped me when I was in spaces where I'm speaking to people who are investors, and it helped me because it meant that I could at least answer some of these questions. If there are any other questions that you think are good to be able to answer as someone who's pitching to investors, put them in the comments. And if you like videos like this and you want to see more, subscribe.